Hey everybody, happy holidays and welcome back to my channel. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and a happy almost new year. Today I'm going to be filming my January TBR, so let's get into it. I'm really excited about my January TBR. I currently have 5 ARCs and 2 finished copies on the list, as well as 1 buddy read, so I'm really excited. The first book that I'm hoping to read is The Boatman's Daughter, and that is by Andy Davidson, and this one is coming out in February, I believe February 11th. And this one is about a girl whose father has passed away, who lives in sort of a bayou area. And her father, before he passed, I guess was involved with a kind of shady pastor who has this, seems like cult following. And after he passed, she sort of has to deal with this group of people. It sounds really interesting. It sounds like there's a cult involved. So if you watched my last video, you know that is one of my favorite subgenres, books involving cults. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I'm hoping to start off my month with this one. Next up, I have The King's Questioner by Nikki Katz, and this one comes out January 14th in 2020. And this one is about our main character, Kalen, who is a mental picklock. And what that means is that he is able to sort of break into people's minds and help to recover memories or use that for interrogation. And so he is the King's Questioner, it seems like. But when his estranged childhood friend, Prince Suris, falls into a coma, the king asks him to use his ability to sort of help with this situation, and it sounds like he uncovers that there's a secret princess. I don't know anything more than that. I'm really excited. It does seem like it's YA fantasy, which is one of my favorite genres, and it just sounds like it'll be a really good read involving sort of psychology and hidden memories and family secrets, and it sounds really good. Next up, I'm going to read All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace, and this one is another YA fantasy. This one is dealing with a... Dilly. Can you lay down? If you don't know what it's about, it sounds like it follows our main character who's hoping to become the High Animancer, which in this world it sounds like people train with different kinds of magic. And in order to become the High Animancer, you have to prove that you're able to master some sort of soul magic. But in the synopsis, it says that the demonstration of her magic goes awry and she's forced to flee the kingdom, where she meets up with a pirate who promises to help her somehow prove herself. It sounds really interesting. It sounds like there's mermaids, magic, pirates, all kinds of fun things. I've heard a lot of great things about this one. I'm definitely excited to get into it. And this one comes out in early February of 2020. Next up, I have Bent Heavens by Daniel Kraus. And Daniel Kraus is actually the author of The Shape of Water, the book that was turned into a movie recently, set in France with the sort of alien water man that was found in the Amazon. Watched that movie. Absolutely loved it, so I was really excited when I saw that he was coming out with another book. And this one follows our main character whose father went missing about 2 years ago, and before that he claimed that he was abducted by aliens. So at this point, 2 years later, it sounds like our main character has sort of accepted that her father has passed away, even though she doesn't have any sort of closure, and she and her childhood best friend Doug still go out and check these traps that her father used to lay to try and catch these aliens, and just as she's about to give up, they end up finding something that could not be human. So it sounds like that sort of brings everything back around, throws her right back into the question of whether aliens are real or not. I'm really excited. My only concern with this one is lately I've read a lot of books that leave you not knowing sort of what the answer was, that leave you to sort of draw your own conclusions. And that's a trope that just for me isn't my favorite. And so I'm really hoping that that's not the case with this one. I'm really hoping that we get some sort of closure and are able to find out if it was an alien or if it wasn't. Either way, I'm hoping to really enjoy this book, but I'm just really hoping that there's going to be some sort of closure to it. The last of my arcs that I'm hoping to read is The Shadows Between Us, and this one is by Trisha Levenseller. And Trisha is the author of the Daughter of the Pirate King series, which I have not read yet, but I do own them. They are on my new bookshelves, so I do want to get to those soon as well. And this one sounds really interesting, so I'm going to read like 3 of the lines on the back here, because Alessandra is tired of being overlooked, but she has a plan to gain power. Woo the Shadow King, marry him, kill him, and take the kingdom for herself. So this one sounds awesome. Sounds like we have a female heroine or maybe villain. And the Shadow King gives me a lot of like Grishaverse vibes, because it says that there are like rumors that he can control the shadows around him. And so like that sounds just a lot like the Grishaverse. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I've heard amazing things. I'm hoping that this will end up being the last book that I read in January, so it'll really sort of finish out my January TBR with sort of, hopefully, a 5-star read. The next book that I'm planning on reading in January, at least partly, is the first book in the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. It's A Discovery of Witches. And this one I'm going to be reading as a buddy read with some friends of mine from the Weeby Bookin' online book club that is run and created by my friend Jacqie over at Weeby Bookin'. If you're interested in joining, we have an amazing book club. Jacqie has a video about all the fun things that we do, so I'll go ahead and link that in the description below. But I'm doing a buddy read in January and February for this book. I'm intentionally not reading the synopsis because I've heard that this is a good one to go into not knowing anything. So I don't actually know anything about this book. I know that the title is A Discovery of Witches. I know a lot of people really like it, but that's all I actually know. So I'm going into it a little bit blind. Finally, the last book that I'm planning on reading in January is Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman, and this is the second book in his Arc of a Scythe series. If you haven't read this series and don't know what it's about, go ahead and check out my last video that was a haul from Book Outlet, because I described sort of why I love this series and why I think that everyone who likes YA fantasy should read it. It's amazing. This is the second one. The third one was just published, so I want to get this one finished so I can hopefully read the third one in February. So that's all the books I'm planning on reading next month in January. I hope that everyone had a super special holidays. I hope you got all the books that you were wanting and that you got to spend some time with friends and family. I will be participating in a readathon in the next couple weeks from January 11th to January 17th. It's not an official booktube readathon. I'm just going to be doing it in my online book club that I was talking about, Weeby Bookin', but I do want to try my hand at vlogging for that, so we'll see if that is a thing that comes to fruition. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and give me a like, a subscribe, and I'd love it if you'd hit that bell icon so that you get notifications when I post. Happy holidays!